CityTeam started in San Jose in 1957, with its initial main focus being feeding the homeless. Since then, CityTeam has grown into an international program and is still headquartered in San Jose. Additional to feeding the hungry, CityTeam shelters men and women, has addiction recovery programs, has career training, delivers clothing and supplies to family in need, and so much more. I was lucky enough to speak with the director of CityTeam in the neighborhood and church engagement, Hermie Smit. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mission Enlightenment Project interviews. Here again with another fantastic human being. This time someone who's very inspiring, someone with a great story, with an amazing organization, CityTeam. Today we're with Hermie Smit, who will be talking about CityTeam and all the wonderful things not only he, but what they do. So I'll go ahead and hand it off to him. First question to Hermie here. Hermie, how did CityTeam get started as an organization, and what have they grown into now?
Yeah, well, first of all, Tyler, thank you so much for sharing this platform, with me and also CityTeam. So delighted for the opportunity. CityTeam, this is actually a big year. We are celebrating our 65th anniversary. So City has been around a long time. It started, someone actually was about, I think, 2 to 3 years in his recovery. And God has totally got a hold of his life, our founder. And he came from Fresno to San Jose to start the San Jose Rescue Mission. And primarily to help homeless men overcome addiction and just the challenges with that, and help them, set them on a path to become productive citizens. And over the years, the ministry kept growing and adding additional programs and services that, just allow us to share Christ's unconditional and redemptive love by caring for immediate needs. Some of those immediate needs are really is helping, again, the unhoused men and women in low-income families and seniors with food and some of the basic necessities. And then at the same time, we also then create opportunities and on-ramps to enable lasting solutions. So people actually get out of poverty, get out of the situations that they are in. So it's it's kind of short-term and long-term.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned 65 years. That's a long time. Just to put this out here, how far has CityTeam's reach grown? I know it's as you mentioned, San Jose has its roots. But are there any other cities CityTeam has a big presence in?
Yeah, so CityTeam, obviously San Jose is kind of like the roots and kind of our headquarters, and most of the programs are here. But we also have brick and mortar facilities in Oakland, San Francisco, Portland, and then Chester, Philadelphia. So maybe if I can share just a kind of break it up as looking at serving immediate needs. And as you see just in our programs, the immediate needs, the department that I'm the director of is CityTeam in the neighborhood. And we help low-income families with primarily food and clothing. And we do this where people live and learn in partnership with Second Harvest of Silicon Valley, which has been phenomenal at providing food, but then also local churches. So food and clothing is kind of the bread and butter there. We also provide for homeless, but predominantly men. We're about to add more services for some unhoused women also. But yeah, shelter, hot meals, clothing, showers, medical care, all of those take place at CityTeam Connect. And then we create pathways to economic empowerment. And that's with CityTeam at Work, where we help men and women really connect with how they are wired, how God have really wired them, and how does that translate to appropriate career paths, and then provide them with the training and the plans and also the mentorships and opportunities to get in above living wage jobs. So that's really a key of the economic empowerment. And then We have a host of other programs, CityTeam Renew, which is helping men and women struggle with addiction to overcome that. CityTeam Forward, that's kind of post-recovery bridge housing. And then CityTeam Turning Point. This may be people that are struggling with homelessness, but don't have any addiction issues. We want to make all of these other services available to them so they can get into permanent housing and also above living wage jobs. And then Youth Collective. We have several homes that for at-risk youth that are either facing homelessness or at risk of homelessness, and we give a priority to youth exiting the foster care system. So these homes provide a loving environment where they can really grow and then also provide access to the other services that mentioned. And yeah, just for more information, just visit cityteam.org and then click on the About Us tab, and you'll have a lot more information about these different programs.
And CityTeam will be linked to in the description below. So all you have to do is scroll down with your mouse and click, and it'll bring you right there.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, so CityTeam definitely has a big pipeline of amazing services that they offer people, and there have been a lot of life change and transformation that has happened thanks to CityTeam. A lot isn't a big enough word for the amount of work CityTeam consistently does in people's lives. Leads me to my next question. How did you connect with CityTeam, and if you don't mind me asking, how did CityTeam change your life?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to share. Wow, yeah. So actually, this year I've celebrated my 20th anniversary as a employee with CityTeam. Yeah, and it all started. I was attending a church, recently got married, and living in Gilroy, and the lead pastor's wife, Carol Smith, she was the director of CityTeam in the neighborhood back then, and she recruited me. And it was so funny. As I filled in the application, almost audibly, it's like I heard God speak to me, and he says, "This is where I want you to serve me." And yeah, it's just been incredible. So I feel like at CityTeam, totally, I have found my calling. And then also really appreciate CityTeam has really also invested and developed the skills and this gifting to be effective in my calling. I'm one of those that really consider myself super blessed and fortunate that my calling, my passions, my gifting really aligns well with what I get to do on a daily basis, in my career. And then it has been very, really life-changing to have a front row seat to see what God does here, to see him at work, not only in my life, but also in the life of others, to simply make themselves available. And yeah, just to serve the poor and then create opportunities for them to be empowered. It just never gets old. Just last week, I was at our Mayfair house, and yeah, I met. They were getting ready to. I was putting up something. Ricardo, our employee, was putting up some shade netting, and one of our follow-up groups is called. We have a program called Vital Connections, which is like an inductive Bible study and connecting with God, connecting with self, connecting with neighbors, and also your family. And some of the ladies would start sharing. They all started coming to the pantry, and there they met someone from Vital Connections group who invited them. And there, not only did they discover God, but they said, I used to worry all the time about having enough food, didn't have a job. And through the pantry, CityTeam helped them with that. But not only that, they felt really disconnected and lonely. And she was pointing, these have now become my best friends. And this is like my family now. And also how they discovered God and the transformation they've experienced, and I just have a front row seat to see that happen a lot. And it just never gets old. So I'm very, very blessed and privileged.
Yeah. Just to share a little bit of my personal experience with CityTeam. I've gone, I believe, on 5 engagement experiences with CityTeam.
Yeah.
It's something that they offer every now and then, as to where if the timing is right, and if there's staff available, and if the environment is right in the men's shelter. You could I've spent a day at the men's shelter with other members of my church, where we would spend all day talking to people whose lives have been saved from CityTeam, and I can't explain the weight, and I'm getting emotional thinking about it, honestly. But the sheer just love that pours out of everyone at CityTeam, including those who are currently in the programs, it's infectious. It in many ways has changed my life for the better, and I'm really grateful for everything CityTeam does. To ask this question next, what challenges does CityTeam consistently face, and what new challenges has the pandemic added to be an extra hurdle for CityTeam?
Wow. Yeah, that's it's kind of a loaded question. I think, just to give you an example, in FY21, just here at CityTeam in the neighborhood, we distributed 4.7 million pounds of food. That translates to 3.9 million meals were delivered, and these are at 49 different locations. We obviously, like I mentioned, we can't do this without partnerships. There's no way we can do that alone. There's not enough staff, and to be in all these locations. So Second Harvest of Silicon Valley, they provide 96% of the food, and it's good quality food. It's amazing. And then, but we take that food to the last few miles. That's one of the biggest challenge, just addressing, the challenges that's here in the Bay Area, and exponentially got more with the pandemic, is food insecurity. So yeah, to be able to take that, we have 35 local church partners that are providing the volunteers. Sometimes they host these pantries. They provide the volunteers to go and deliver it, whether it's door to door at some of the low income apartment complexes or at schools. But we still have 14 pantries that currently we don't have a church partner, to do that. So that means it's staff or just random volunteers showing up, to do the distribution. And so we are really in need of getting more local churches to adopt these pantries. And and I think also in January we'll be going out to San Mateo County, so we'll be reaching out to many other churches there. But just challenges that the pandemic have added. It was in the beginning was a challenge to mobilize volunteers, and also our follow-up programs. We had to really pivot. We had to adjust the way we distribute. Had to be more going to door-to-door deliveries or drive-throughs, and then also the in-person meetings at churches. You guys are very familiar with the challenges that brought. So a lot of our Bible studies, our Bible connection programs, or the things that churches offered were in-person gatherings. And a lot of the low-income families that were not necessarily tech savvy, didn't quite have the devices or the broadband connectivity. So that was a challenge to how do we build community, how we connect with people to provide some of these empowerment programs when you can't do that in person. Thank goodness it's opening up, we are restarting a lot of that, but we were able to transition to some of that online, but it just wasn't quite the same for the folks that we serve.
Yeah, those challenges are definitely unexpected, and I'm happy things are opening up again, so we can reach even more people with your efforts. To ask this question next, then, how can someone support CityTeam's efforts? you mentioned volunteering and food pantries with churches, but how can anyone watching this right now quickly or with any variety of task end up supporting CityTeam?
Yeah, so I would say there are a variety of ways, and if you go to cityteam.org, and maybe I can just share my screen again.
Sure.
Yeah, if you go to cityteam.org, and then you'll see ways to get involved. Yeah, we're always looking for volunteers, and we're going to be adding more volunteer opportunities. There's volunteer opportunities at our sites that you referred to. Came out and got to spend some time, prepare meals in our kitchen. We also have volunteer opportunities here at our warehouse, sorting clothing, packing food, doing stuff like that. But then at these many of the pantry sites, you can sign up and go and help and distribute food, whether it's door to door or help at a drive-through distribution. So volunteerism, we're always looking for church partners. So you can become a church partner or a corporate partner. You can also partner with events. You can host a drive. There's a whole list of drives, and we're going into the holiday season. So we are looking for folks that are willing to host drives, whether it's a clothing drive or a poultry drive, like a turkey drive for Thanksgiving, or a toy drive for Christmas. And then, so ways to start fundraisers. There's also other ways to give. So we try to make it actually easy for people to get involved. And this, our goal is that hopefully this becomes like a catalyst. And you don't always have to get involved in this type of ministry by volunteering through CityTeam, but there's opportunities all around us, to get involved and make the Bay Area more connected, more loving. And we'd love to be a part of that movement that God's doing here.
Yeah, last question then. You mentioned event and the drop down. I saw event there. Do you have any events coming up you want to promote?
Yeah, so we got Thanksgiving. It's just such a CityTeam tradition, and actually right now, like I said, we got all these 49 different locations, so it's almost like Thanksgiving every month. But we'd love to add some extra love. A lot of families that are struggling, Thanksgiving, having that event, having friends over, it puts an extra burden. So poultry is such a key thing. So you can host a turkey drive, and I'll share this real quick. So we're going to do there's just some information about that. The holiday giving. If anybody's interested, they can host a drive. There's some more information about that. We're looking to acquire about 1,000 turkeys and 3,000 chickens. We want to serve 4,000 households this Thanksgiving. And then the same thing with Christmas toys. Our goal is to serve 5,000 kids with toys this Christmas season. And then as it gets colder, clothing is really such a big need. We do a lot of surveys at our pantries, and consistently clothing is one of the top 3 items that people need and they don't have enough of. So we also have a mobile clothing program where we take our trailer, we call it pop-up closet. We take that out. And then also at our local church partners, we provide them with the clothing that they can serve their neighbors on a regular basis. So specifically warm clothing, kids clothing, and men's clothing. We never have enough men's clothing. So if the Point wants to host any of these drives, we'd be honored and very, very thankful to receive any of those items, and we'll make sure they go to where it's most needed.
Awesome. And CityTeam is very, very good at that. A lot of families are consistently served by CityTeam, and pinnacle, in my opinion, of an example of how local outreach should be executed.
Thank you for that, Tyler. I appreciate that. And again, we can't do it without really the partnership of local churches. Mm-hmm. And again, we want to make it really easy for the church to be able to do that calling of Matthew 25, to serve the least of these. And they don't have to have a warehouse. They don't have to have a truck. They don't have to have cold storage and all of that. We'll bring all of that to where they are. And the church can just love on people, serve them, build relationships, and then create on-ramps to where they can be in Christian community, be loved on, and discover the hope and transformation Christ has to offer. So that's why we partner with local churches.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that was a lot of ground to cover. In case we missed anything, is there anything else you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I think it just one of the challenges, just the pandemic has thrown. I've been with CityTeam 20 years, and I have not seen need like this. I mean, the gap was already big between kind of like the affluent and the low income community. But when shelter in place happened, schools closed. Not only I know there's a lot of jobs in the Bay Area that you can work from home, but many of the families we serve could not work from home. And later on, when they could go to work, for those jobs that were still there, they couldn't go to work because they had their kids at home, because kids were going to school from home. And schools don't just educate, they also provide daycare for our kids. So we have now about 14,000 households in Santa Clara County are facing eviction. So it's really challenging times that the Bay Area is facing. So, food and clothing and things like that. I think there's going to be real challenges with many households that's going to be split up, that's going to be evicted, and a lot are going to be forced to leave the Bay Area. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly how we're going to address this massive scale, but I think schools opening is really critical. And then, looking at how we can get people back working and making above living wage so they can actually afford housing and not be at risk of eviction. That's the other really critical piece. And again, we're looking at partnering with local churches on replicating our CityTeam at Work and that economic empowerment program to more and more people that need to find jobs and need to find better paying jobs.
Yeah, that's a need that more people need to be aware of. So thank you for sharing.
Sure.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Hermie Smit with CityTeam. Contact information, if you want to get a hold of anyone at CityTeam, will be in the description below. And again, if you want to volunteer, link for the website will be there, so you can go there as well and hop in supporting them in any way you can. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you so much. And you see my email address is there. And then, so feel free to reach out. And thank you so much, Tyler. And really appreciate all the support, the Point Church community has provided CityTeam, and looking forward to this relationship even growing more in the near future. God bless you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Hermie.